What's going on, YouTube? Today we're gonna be changing the battery for those people that don't know how to change battery and they're beginners to the bike world. So pretty much what you're gonna need is Allen wrench, 5 millimeter Allen wrench, Phillips screwdriver, and we'll go ahead and start. Well, the type of bike that I have, it's a Yamaha R6. It's an 03, so it's fairly old, but I love my bike. First bike, and I still haven't gotten bored of it. So those of you who don't know where the battery is at, it's actually right in here where you sit down, and pretty much your seat, underneath your seat. So let's go ahead and start. So the 5 millimeter Allen wrench, there's actually 2 screws. So here's one, here's the other. So I went ahead and loosened them up already. Usually they're fairly easy to take off. So once you take it off, make sure that you hang on to the bolt. Usually they're not attached, so they tend to fall out, and you don't want to be reaching for one of these underneath your seat. That's gonna be a fun little adventure there. Alright, so as you can see, battery is right there. So I actually just changed mine and decided to make a YouTube video about it. For those people that aren't familiar with the location of the battery and what's the process of taking out the battery and pretty much putting in a new one. Okay, next step is pretty much go ahead and unstrap it. Unstrap the battery with this rubber strap. There it is. It's unstrapped. So here's one post, here's the other post. Yeah, my bike has been dropped from the previous owner. He used to be a stunner, so that's how my bikes all pretty much sit tied and pretty much being held in one piece with like wire, you can put it that way. Other than that, let's go ahead and get started with the battery post. So I'll go ahead and do the power first. Let's do this one first, okay? So go ahead and unscrew it. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Remember that? Same thing with this one. You always want to hold on to your screw. Make sure that you don't drop it, because once you drop it, I suggest that you just get a new one pretty much, because unless it falls all the way down, this bad boy is gonna be in there roaming around. Okay, so once we did that, you're gonna go ahead and make sure that this doesn't touch anywhere else. Okay, and do the same thing with the ground wire. So once you loosen it enough, you could actually just remove it with your hand. Same thing with this one. Put it to the side. Usually I like to tuck in the strap underneath there, that way it doesn't get on the way. And for this, it's a little bit tricky to remove the battery. But once you remove it, you actually gotta kind of play with it a little bit. It's kind of hard just using one hand, so. This is a good time when you need that extra hand. That way it's coming out. And there it is. That's one of the things that I forgot to tell you. So, you see those little pieces of metal that's in there, like, you could say that it's like aluminum or some sort. Oh, it's actually lead. So that actually has threads. So your screw, your screw is the one that actually screws into that, which tightens it up. It just depends what type of bike you have it. So you could either put it like that, or you could just move the piece of lead and you could screw it to the top. Okay, but most of the bikes actually have the piece of lead and you screw your cable that way. That's another thing that you got to be careful on with those pieces of lead. Once they fall in there, somewhere in there, pretty much you could just say goodbye to it. Or if you have an hour to spare, to actually look for it. Luckily mine, I actually dropped it here somewhere, so go ahead and try to look for it. And it's right there. That's a piece of thread that I was talking about. Piece of lead with threads. See it? So you always gotta make sure that that's in there. If that's not in there, then pretty much you're just gonna turn and turn and turn and turn, and it's not gonna tighten up. So you always gotta make sure that you have that piece of lead. That way this could actually tighten up. And it could actually hold your cable in place. That's one of the important things about this one. It prevents your battery from moving around and going all over, and pretty much your power cable touching like metal, which could fry up your whole computer cables and blow out a fuse, whatnot. So you always gotta make sure that this strap is present, or if you have something to actually tie down your battery with, which will prevent it from movement, do it. It actually helps a lot, and it gives you peace of mind. Alright, so let's go ahead and get back to the install. So now we're gonna install the battery. Once you took out your old one, you're gonna put your new one on. So this is a type of battery I got. It was recommended for my motorcycle, which is a Yamaha R6 It's a 2003 Yamaha R6. Alright, so let's go ahead and do it. So like I said before, you gotta play with it pretty much. Kind of tuck in the back first. Once you tuck in the back, you kind of want to like play with it and jiggle it here and there. Make sure that no cables are getting clipped right in the back. Once that happens, once all the cables are free, you know, should just go right in. Like I said before, it's a pretty tight fit. So there we go. It went in. Okay, perfectly fine. Fits good. See, there's like a little case, or you could say like a little case that actually it's pretty much perfect size, which helps also prevent the battery from moving. This strap is just in case you're doing wheelies or whatnot, and it prevents from the battery actually coming out, lifting up from the little casing where it's supposed to go. So let's go ahead and take out this little screw. Usually these batteries are anywhere from 70 to 120. Just depends on the brand, depends on the warranty that you buy for it as well. And also, the guy told me at the store that if you don't use it that often, to go ahead and buy the tenderizer pretty much once a month or so. Go ahead and hook it up. That way it prevents the battery from actually dying completely, and just maintains a good healthy battery. Just for those people that don't ride it that often. Which for me, I didn't ride it for about 3 weeks or so, and it was an old battery already. It was three years old last time I changed it. So it was time for a new one. So I went ahead and just purchased a new one, and it should start right up after this. So let's go ahead and do ground first. I always like to hand tighten it all the way as much as I can. That way I don't over tighten it or anything like that, or I strip the threads. That's really important as well. Once you strip the threads, I don't know what I could tell you. You're probably gonna have to buy a new piece of lead, the one that I showed you earlier. So yeah, sometimes it's a pain in the butt to actually get it to tighten. So you just gotta take your time, don't get frustrated, and make sure that the little piece of lead is in there, which it is. Okay, you just like I said before, it's kind of hard doing it with one hand, but once you do it, it should be no problem. So let's go ahead and do you want to tuck in all the wires. Okay, for some reason my flash went out, so hopefully you guys can still see. So once you have everything tucked in, you set everything nice and straight. Grab your other little screw. You could also fit a, like, I believe it's a 10-inch millimeter socket on there. So, but I just prefer to use a Phillips screwdriver. It's much easier. So just get one of the pretty long ones. Like I told you before, you don't want to tighten up too much and pretty much round out your threads, or strip your threads. You don't want to do that. So take your time. Usually it's the screw sometimes doesn't reach all the way down, so you could always kind of lift up the little lead piece. Once you feel that it's tight enough, don't sit on there and just tighten it with all your strength. Don't do that, because then you're gonna strip your threads, and you might even round out this, and then it's gonna be even a bitch to take it out. So that's pretty much how you change a battery. Oh, make sure, like I said before, make sure you always clamp down your battery. You don't want it moving up and down, and yeah, I might take a couple tries just to get it on there, but make sure you always clamp it down. Go ahead and try with this one. There you go. So it's pretty tight, and it has a little, like a groove where the band actually goes. So as you can see, it's pretty tight and secured. Another thing, you should have this. Always cover your post. That way it doesn't touch to your subframe or anything like that. So always cover your post. You should only have it on the positive side. That way it doesn't touch on the side and creates a short circuit, or it starts a fire underneath your booty going at 80 miles per hour. So always make sure that it is covered, it is secured. So you can see both of them are pretty nice and tight. Battery is nice and secured, strapped. And for your final step, before you actually put the seat cover, go ahead and test it out. Turn on your bike. Bike turns on, so that means there is power to the engine. Turn it on. All right, so that means that we did everything correctly. Okay, so final step, put on your seat. So your seat has this little notch there. So that little notch goes, let me get a better picture. It goes in there. Okay, that actually helps secure your seat from, and it prevents from lifting up. So now you go back into your hole. All right, so now that you have both your Allen screws, yeah, like every mechanic always says, make sure you hand screw every screw bolts. That way you know that they're going in right. Because you'll feel it right off the bat if a screw or bolt is going in the wrong way, or it's going slant, or crooked or anything like that. You'll know. That's why you want to go ahead and tighten them up. Hand tighten as much as you can. Once you can tighten up with your hand, you get the Allen wrench. So it's a 5mm for Yamaha R6. 5mm Allen wrench. So that you just tighten it down. This one also, it's just hand tight. You don't want to over tighten it, and like I said, strip your thread or round out your bolt. Especially when it's an Allen wrench, it's kind of harder to get them out if you round them out. So I'm not saying it's impossible, it's just a little harder, and it's easier to round them out. So always be careful on those. So other than that, that's a how to do video. If you're a beginner or even person that would like to get educated on a little bit about motorcycles and how to install batteries. So that's pretty much it. Now go ahead and try yourself. Okay. You guys have a good one. Ride safe. Keep on riding.